right, let's talk about point reduction. So as you're modeling, sometimes you get into an area where you need more points in one side of a model, but then it's going to need to get reduced as it goes further into the model so that you can be efficient. This happens a lot with characters too. I'm thinking particularly like when you're doing hands and fingers or the face. The face will definitely usually have more polygons in it than the neck and the rest of the body. Obviously that's going to vary depending on the character, but I'm just thinking about the articulation that I've modeled before, and usually the face has more, or the hands have more polys in them. So in this case, all we're doing here is we're taking 6 edges and reducing it down to 3. So to do that, I'm just going ahead and collapsing these, and then we can redirect the edge flow by just dropping an edge right in the middle here and scale this in, so now that these are all quads. And you can see that's how we got this little part right up there. Here's another one, not really too complicated. We're just going to go ahead and just basically take this. It's the same kind of concept, but in this case, to make this triangle a quad, we're just going to go ahead and add one edge right there. And you know, I like to pull it down a little bit, like so, and I like to balance the mesh out if I can. You know, have a more even mesh, something more like that. Even with all of these here, you can see how these are kind of like bunched together. If you need a more balanced mesh, you can either do a slide edge, which you hold Control and Shift, and you can kind of slide them back and forth a little bit, and they'll start to balance out. Like so, you can see that now they're sort of balanced. It might be a little bit uneven because you're kind of doing it by eye. The other thing you can do is we also have the mesh tools, slide edge, and you can middle mouse drag, and it basically does the same thing. But there's times where the slide edge, this tool, works better than the actual widget tool, holding Control and Shift with the widget, because sometimes with the widget you have to move in a certain direction. This one sometimes will do things that one won't. So that, or of course you could just you could take these and go ahead and just scale apart like that, and then maybe that's the best way, just eyeballing it, because then it's all aligned. Now in this one, let's go ahead and get into this one. I actually did where I needed like more polys, so in that sense I just went ahead and did a little bevel like so. You can play with the fraction here. You can try to make it even if you want, and then just going ahead and just basically showing this up. This isn't exactly like you get into different situations where you need different solutions, and that's why I'm showing you different solutions that you might run into that might work. It's not wanting to slide up, so I can just go ahead and hold Control and Shift and slide. Hold Control and Shift and slide like so, and then if I want this even, I can hold Control and Shift. Actually, I don't even have to do that at that point. I can just go ahead and hold V, and I can snap it and make sure it's even with this one. It should be really, really close. Of course, we haven't made this thing an actual quad because you see it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So to actually make this a quad, you would have to drop an edge into the middle like so. And so now these are all quads. And that just might be a solution that you need to do with. This is actually kind of a redirect. You can see here, like if I need to redirect the polygons, and I'm going to go into a little bit more in the redirect a little bit later. So hold tight for that. This one is actually, what I'm doing here is we have more edges, and I just hit the wrong button there. I'm going to just go ahead and drag these in like this, drag these to the center like so. So this is the target weld, and then once you have those figured out like so, you can actually just take these edges here and collapse them down together. So you can go ahead and just do collapse. Unfortunately, the collapse, as you can see, kind of leaves them crooked, so I usually end up straightening them out afterwards, which is kind of lame. You think that you know, since they're exactly kind of symmetrical, that it wouldn't do that, but it does. So I just grab these and hold V and then snap it right over to this vert, you know, so I just hold my cursor over to the vert. So it can only move in one direction because I'm locking the widget to just that one direction, the X direction. And then from here, obviously, we can just remove these. And then we can just grab the verts in here if we want to make these more of that diamond shape. My widget's getting in the way. So something like that. I actually did it closer to the edge with this one. Okay, so that's just like some different ideas about how we would do like reductions. And now let's look at this pyramid triangle type shape. Okay, so how I made this shape was pretty simple. I just took one of my 5x5s like this, and I went ahead and put a deformer on it. So let me show you really quickly. I'll just go ahead and make this, I think I had it about that size, and I think I had it at 5, and then I just go ahead and take a deformer, lattice deformer, and I'll go ahead and hit the options and then make sure it's 2x2x2. Just hit apply and close that. And you got to be right over it and right click and then go to lattice point. Sometimes if you're over the mesh, it won't give it to you. So from there, I just went ahead and just collapsed everything down like that. And then I get into my object mode and I select the actual mesh, delete the history, and then I went and took the vertice up here and just did a merge so that that was all merged together. And that's how I ended up with this initial shape. Now what I want to do is I want to turn it into quads, and I want to also be able to run borders if necessary, and I also want to be able to have an even mesh if necessary. So there's different scenarios that you might run into, and so all of these different images that I'm going to show are just basically like you know, this is basically my minimalist idea of how to turn this into all quads but also run edges so that you have like holding edges if you needed this shape to be like a sub D type of shape with hard edges, but you didn't want it to be that high a poly. So basically, how do you do that? I'm just going to do this one. I don't know if I'll do all of them, but I'll just go ahead and hit Control Delete, get rid of those, Control Delete, get rid of those. So just this minimalist one, just run through and do something like that. And come up here and something like that. If you want, you could always cut down the middle and do a, oops, let's go into the top view. If you cut down the middle, you can mirror it and then just get rid of that mirror later if you don't need it. Or the center line is what I mean, if you don't need it. So there we go. I can do something like that. Let me double click on this. I'll hold Control and Shift and pull it down so you can see if you're doing the edge slide by holding Control and Shift. Then when you pull it down, it'll basically even out. So you can move it so it's even with your other pieces. Same thing over here. Like I can just hold Control and Shift and I can move it this way and make sure that these look good. And then all I did is I went ahead and just snap to 50% for all of these. So you can see what happens there. If I start doing that, then it wants to basically complete an edge run then. So what I'll do is something like that. So I just went ahead and just put a cut in there even though it's probably not dead center, and then I'll just go ahead and put another cut like that. Now this is at 50, this is at 50, this is at 50. This point is not at 50. So what I can do with that is, you know, I could always try to align it by holding V and, you know, moving this and holding over this right there. Or easier would probably be just go up to Edit Mesh and do an average verts like so. And you can hit G a few times and see where it shows up. Yep. So that should average out in sort of the center of the mesh between all these edges. So that's how I got this, and I don't like seeing the grid here, so I'm going to get out of that. This is kind of the same concept as this in a way, but you can see that you've got the holding edges, and then you're leaving in a bunch of horizontal, and then you have a vertical line that actually basically does like this edge flow thing where it goes around, which leaves a triangle on the top edge, and then you just put one line in the middle. Now, why I like this is because you're holding all of your edges and you have a pretty nice balanced even mesh. So if you need something that's going to deform well, something like this might work. This is another one. It'll deform obviously more than this would, but it's not as even and balanced as this one here. This again, very similar to this, just another way to do this. This one, what I've done, instead of having that kind of crisscross thing, I've got just two edges flowing down into that, and I've done like this redirect over here. Here's like a reduction, which is similar to these over here. So just like collapsing certain edges. Here's another one where I actually upped the amount of edges that were on the bottom. So, you know, like what do you do in those situations where maybe there's more edges? And, you know, basically coming up with a solution where, you know, you're cutting. I could probably try to recreate this. Okay, so as I redirect these, note that we go from 11 to 7, and then eventually to 5, and then to 3, basically. Well, yeah, I guess there's 3 all the way at the top. So that's where the reduction's coming in. So let's go ahead and talk about how we did that. So in this case, we're taking basically 2 of these. Let's do this. We're only going to work on half since this is split down the middle. Start off by making life easier. And then we'll go ahead and just take 2 different edges here. And sometimes you basically have to turn off your move tool or you're not going to get it to work. And then we're going to go ahead and select the edge ring the rest of the way up. So I can come all the way up to here, double click, click once, come up to here, double click, and then we can collapse these. Now they get wonky sometimes. You can collapse them and they get wonky. And so now we've got basically like this holding edge on the outside, right? That's actually going to wrap around. And then we got this inner part, and I actually don't think I'm doing this exactly the same as the last one, which tends to happen sometimes. I'm going to show a trick that if you want your edge here to follow this outer edge, you can double click on it, hold Control and Shift for slide, and then just, actually don't have the top one, slide everything except for the top edge all the way over, and you can see it looks like it's gone, but you just pull it out then, and now it's perfectly aligned with the rest of it. So we know this is eventually going to be cut over to here, so I could just delete that and I could just basically throw that cut in there. I can go like that, and we know that this is actually going to come up like this here. So let me grab this middle edge. Now I'm not hitting Control Delete, just hitting Delete, because we need this point here at the top. And oh, looks like we got a weird, oh, I don't know why that happened. I don't think there was anything there. Oh, weird. Strange mesh maybe. Let's hit connect. Okay, that worked. All right. And we'll work with this stuff in a little bit. We need to redirect into this other part of the mesh over here. We'll get to that in a second. Or maybe we'll get to it now, because I think I'm kind of done over here. I think I did this like one lower than I did the other one. So in the other one I was a little bit higher up when I started deleting the or I should say collapsing the edges. So if I wanted to, I could move these around a little bit, but I'm just gonna adjust these just a tiny bit. Okay, so next, I could go ahead and let's see what happens if I just take this and collapse that. Oh, look at that. It somehow, there was something in there. I'm glad I did that because now I know. Okay, so that's actually what I'm looking for basically over here. But what we need to do is get rid of this triangle. These are all quads, right? So we're good with that. And to get rid of this triangle, I'm just going to go ahead and drop an edge right in the middle here, like so. And so now, if we pull it like that, you can see we get like this. This is quad, this is quad, this is quad. And it redirects it into the other side that we can mirror, okay? And I'll work with the topology to clean it up in a little bit. So this is very, very similar to what I did up here, but I just, like I said, I did it like one row lower. So let's go ahead and do a mirror. And I want it on X, I want it on object or bounding box, it's fine, we'll do object. And then the direction's positive, it is. And then I want to make sure that this is really low, 0, 0, 1. So that we're not getting any weird artifacts. So I say close, I hit Q. Okay. So let's see something here. If we go here, we still, okay, so something weird's going on in the middle. I had a feeling that that mirror did something weird. See, the mirror left some artifacts. I don't know why. Maybe this mesh has some problems already. Let's undo that mirror. Let's do some investigation. So we'll go to vertex face. I'm not seeing anything weird here. Let's go to vertices. And let's see, that's 1. So sometimes, you know, if you got to examine your mesh a little bit, it's like being a detective. And I'm watching my to see if my vert count like jumps or something, to see if there's like anything weird going on. Okay, that seems fine. Let's go here. I'm assuming these are all aligned. I'm just gonna double check. Yep, they're aligned. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and delete the history, and I'll just freeze the transformations right here. We'll see what happens now after I do that. Maybe it will mirror. I usually do that anyway when I mirror, so I don't know why I didn't do it this time. 0.001. And now if this doesn't work, the next thing I'm going to do is turn off the merge border, and I'm going to do that myself. So let's see if we've got those stray verts. See, there's no more stray verts. So I'm going to guess that what happened was it might be just because like the history was in there and there was just some kind of awkward something. If you want to balance this out even more, you can grab all the interior verts, nothing touching the edges because we want to keep those the same, but any interior vert that doesn't, well, I don't want it touching the edges or the fencing either. So I'm going any interior vert though that's not touching that, and you can go ahead and go to average verts and see like how that averages out. See, and when you do this, sometimes you'll see stuff, and in this again, I think this is, I don't want to blame Maya, but I don't think this is me. I think this is Maya. Maybe there's a bug or something like that in the tool. It happens. I wish it didn't. Trust me, I wish it didn't, but I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. I've been doing the same operations for years. I've never had problems with it. So, you know, if we want, we can kind of try to balance things out. Like I said, this is very similar to what's up here, except for I just did it on a different row. So if I would have done it like one more row up, it would look like this one. Okay. So yeah, so there you go. That's sort of like the thinking behind some of this stuff. Hope you understand. You don't always have to have like a final solution in your head right away. Sometimes you have to work this stuff out. And then the more you practice, the more it becomes second nature. So that's the one thing I would just say. Like, I even have times, like if I'm really tired and I'm like modeling, where sometimes I'll look at something and I'll be like, wait, what? And it takes me a little bit to actually you know, figure out the topology. But that happens. Like if your brain's not running at full tilt, that can happen. Okay, so that's my my little shtick on reduction pass. I hope you learned some stuff from this. It's more academic at this point. We haven't put it to like practical use quite yet, but we will. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Wait a second. I hate when people say that. I won't see you at all. You'll hear me in the next video. Bye.